And it hit me surprisingly. It didn't, that's what grief is, right? You can't predict or dictate how it's going to go. And writing this, I healed. Hey, I'm Heather Tyler, and I'm excited to enter the world gone good for the second time. One more time, because it's not the world, it's a world. I mean, it is your world, so it's the world, but I'll do it again. Hey, I'm Heather Tyler, and I'm entering a world gone good for the second time.
Well, hello, my name is Steve, and this is the place where we highlight everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. Okay, I have to tell you something. We have not had a new review on Apple or anywhere else for that matter for this here good show you love to listen to since last June? What? So here's my ask, and it's a kind of an ask for right now. Can you, yes you, listening right now, hit the pause button and give us a quick rating and review. It literally will take you 30 seconds. And by doing so, you're going to help more good people discover this here world gone good of ours. So do it right now. Just hit pause, make a quick review, and then hit play again. And guess what? You get this here brand new episode as your good reward. See? We love it. We love it. We love your feedback right now. God, we'd love your feedback right now. And for that, as always, we say thank you. Okay, question. Have you ever had an idea for a movie? Of course you have. You've had like a million ideas for movies, right? A roommate of mine back in my 20s, she comes out to breakfast one morning and she goes, I had the greatest dream last night. It would make the best movie ever. I just have to remember what my dream was about. For real, that's what she said to me. She's like, I just have to remember it. She did remember there were roller skates involved, and that alone is movie plot line gold. Think Xanadu, my friends. Am I right? Am I right? As someone who has produced stage plays and also a couple of short films and a ton of web series projects, and even this here podcast you're listening to, I can tell you it's a crap ton of work. And at the same time, it is an absolute blast. You get to be creative. You get to be around other creative people. You get to stand out in a field at 2 o'clock in the morning and look up at the stars above the Ojai Mountains because the generators you're using to power your lights have now run out of diesel and need to be refilled. So just look at the pretty stars at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just wait for the lights to turn back on. It's good times, I tell you. It's good times. And my creative pal, Heather Tyler, knows all about these kinds of good times. If Heather sounds familiar, well, she should. She was on the show last year when we talked about another creative project we did together, my play, Happy Birthday McKenna. She was the lead. She was brilliant and fantastic and a delight to work with. She's returned today to the pod to chat it up about all things creativity-wise, pivoting as well. She talks about pivoting and just simply putting yourself out there, specifically as she has done and is doing with her new independent film, Delta County. Here comes one of my favorite people to go to dinner with, Heather Tyler, here to share her good. Well, this is just weird.
What? Why is it weird?
This is just because we should just record our phone calls. Why are we even bothering?
I know we really should. Or text, although I think we both get in trouble. There's like some AI tech out there that reads your voice texts. We'd be like hunted down for being bad people.
Bad or honest? Come on.
I mean, let's be real. We are so honest. Oh my God.
Well, the last time you were here, believe it or not, was over a year ago. And that was for when we wrapped up, well, just about a year ago, we wrapped up Happy Birthday McKenna.
Right.
What's it like to think about that a year later?
It doesn't feel that long ago, which I think is a good thing. because I have a lot of good memories and so many good little tangential strings have come from that project that it feels really still close to me. And I love that feeling. But a lot happened, of course, in a year. I mean, it's a year, it's 12 months. Rex is always like, how many days are in it? I'm like, I don't know. Do the math. Talk to data. I don't do the math. It's a lot of days. I mean, I know how many days are in a year. It's been a long time. A lot has happened, but it doesn't feel that long ago. I have a lot of friends who are like, it seems to be a time when, because it's spring, I think, and everyone's like coming rebirth and plans coming to fruition. But along with that comes a lot of like shedding of stuff. And that means people start going through these existential crises or like anxiety driven moments, but they know it's a good thing. They're not freaked out about it. They're just acknowledging it. Why did I mention that?
Because we're talking a year ago, a change.
2023 was such a hard year. And yet when I look back on it, because I think that if I only think of the end of the year, then I feel that way, or at least 6 months of the year being out on the streets every day as a strike captain at Netflix. I mean, there were some existential crises days every day down there, let me tell you. So that part really sucked. But everything leading up to that and things that came after were really phenomenal. So everyone's like talking about how hard the year was, but then in the same breath, they also say how much they have grown or what good things have come out of it. And I mean, that's just life, right? I mean, that's like the controlled forest fires have to happen, or the natural ones that used to happen without it being, the devastating impact that it is now. It's just, you go through the rough spots, you go through the death and the rebirth. And I think that's where we all are right now.
I think so. I think that so much of life has changed because I think so many things are coming at us so quickly. And I've spoken about that on the show quite a few times. Is like the constant inundation of information, most of it challenging information. And I think that I don't think our brains are built, our souls, our hearts are built to just move on to the next thing, when we're still processing the thing that happened 3 or 4 times ago. So I understand that. And I think that that's really what, going way back, what the pandemic did, what the lockdown did. It stopped everything. It put everybody in a place that we were all in the same place.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa. We're all doing this. Oh, and by we're all doing this, I mean, it's not just me. I'm not just the one having the issue right now. We're all having, and then it's the engine starting again and stopping and starting and stopping, and it's watching people around us, et cetera. So it's so fascinating. Time is fascinating.
A long time ago in Chicago, I did a show called Einstein's Dreams, and it was based on the book by the same name. And we explored, because of what he does in the book, not Einstein, but the writer whose name I can't remember, but what he explores in the book is the nature of time, and what if time went backwards, and what if time jump started, and what if time means something different to someone else. And this is before, Inception and all the things that we have made films about dealing with time and different, multiverses. This was, not to age myself. Oh, who cares? I'm going to age myself. This was literally almost 20 years ago. And it was such a fascinating concept to explore physically as we were doing those. It was a physical piece, and it was also a period piece. And we had practical lights on stage rather than stage lights. So it was really interesting to explore the nature of time. So I hear you. I feel you on what time is like and how it, when you're all in the same place experiencing it the same way, that is rare. And that's definitely what we did in the pandemic.
This is shit you and I talk about at dinner. Like, I literally feel like you and I are sitting in that restaurant we went to before we went to see For the Love of the Glove.
Right.
And then we argued over who was going to pay for dinner at the end. And I won.
Oh, good.
It's all good. But on that note, because the reason you're here, there's lots of reason you're here. First of all, you're one of my favorite people to talk to, period. But I would also like to say that you are a creative person. And I want to ask you this giant general question, which I've asked other people this before. What's good about being creative?
Ooh, I mean, you have to adapt easily. You have to have your mind open. You have to see things from a different point of view. You have to be curious. I always talk about being curious when I talk about what are some of my favorite things about raising a child and what I love about my son. He never stops looking at the world with these big, open, curious eyes. And you just experience things richer and more fully that way. So I think those are benefits to being creative. I mean, of course, it's the flip side. Then you're also very vulnerable at all times, and you're highly sensitive and prone to feeling things that you wish you couldn't. But that's part of it too. That makes life richer. My mom used to say, like, when I'd be worried about sharing news with everybody, or like, I don't want the younger people in our family to have to hear this in case it goes bad. She would always say, but Heather, that is what a family does. And that's what a family is. And this is how we learn and grow. So you've got to share the hard stuff so that everyone can see how we deal with it together. It makes us better people. And because life isn't always going to be easy and upbeat, but that doesn't mean that you have to shy away from those things. It's always going to be there. So I love being a creative. I mean, I'm built that way, so I don't know what it would be like not to be. I just know that if I'm not creative, I'm not very pleasant to be around. I have been told that once or twice. Just once, maybe twice.
Well, speaking of being creative, you are here for a big reason because I want to talk to you about you took on a giant creative as a writer, a producer, an actor,
Mm-hmm.
smart girl, smart woman who decided not to direct herself. Proud of you. The project is called Delta County.
Yes. Yeah.
Not Delta Country. I was so nervous I was going to fuck that up.
It is.
And where's the name come from?
It comes from my hometown of Pocahontas, Arkansas. And listen, now you're going to hear it. See, I can't talk about it. Oh, here we go. It's like I did talk to my sister on the phone this morning. So, oh boy. It's like I've had 3 glasses of wine and I haven't even had one yet, Steve. So buckle up. I grew up in Randolph County, and it is considered like
Wait. Hold on.
Mhm.
Because I grew up in Randolph, New Jersey. Did you know that?
Weird. No.
That's the town I grew up in. Keep going. Go ahead.
So Randolph County is the northeastern corner of Arkansas. So I was actually closer to like Memphis than I was to Little Rock growing up. And it's a rich, lots of rich soil, lots of water, rivers, lakes, streams. That county actually is the only county in North America with 5 rivers. And I could probably name them. But it's rich soil, so it's in the Delta region. So I decided to give homage to both my hometown, my home county, and the capital of Little Rock. So I blended it all together and called it a made-up place, Delta County.
Nice.
And I'm going to tell you, it is, speaking of inspirations, there are so many inspirations from personal life that are in the making of that it's no one's going to know all of them, but certain people will know certain points of them. It's just packed full of my history, things I was going through psychologically, emotionally, and location, places that we shot, resources used, all very personal and family, even the ones in LA. So it was a very meaningful production from that side of things, and also out of necessity because you have to use what you have. I used the BBS approach, I like to call it: beg, borrow, steal if you must. That was our BBS mantra.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about something here for a second that's very important that I know too, and you just hit on it. Putting yourself into a project, literally, making it your story, making it your voice, making it your history. Is that a scary thing to do story-wise, when you write it and you're ready to share it? Is that something scary? Is that something bold? Do you feel proud of it?
Well, yes, to all those things, but it is also it's it's not an autobiographical story. It is more a conglomeration of emotional states that I was going through than actual things that I personally was going through. So my family had been dealing with some different things happening around us that involved us tangentially, and I did not want to go into the realm of let me just tell this exact story. So I took elements of that and shifted it. And I also want to be clear. I say let me just back up and give you a quick history so I can get to the truth of a couple of things. What I just spoke of, the thing that my family was going through, I got too close to the truth and I did a web series during the pandemic when we all had to shoot from home on Zoom and with whatever cameras we had. And it was an 8-part series, 10 minutes each. And it was terrible because Zoom does not make good movies. And it was also terrible because it wasn't the story that I needed to tell or really had the right to tell. And so I looked at that. I did nothing with it. I explained to everyone why I wasn't moving forward. And I put it by the, bedside table. I just left it there for a couple of years. And then I had lunch with a friend whose directing job. She was directing voiceover for, all the studios for the English components of the foreign films, directing dubbing. And that was coming to an end. And it was leading into the strikes when that was happening. She's also my writing partner on other things. We collaborate well together. We've known each other from Chicago when she was an assistant director in a stage show I did. And we're very good friends. I actually married her and her husband. I became a officiant to do that. And we were talking about what our next projects were. And I looked at her and I could tell that she had that look in her eyes. And I said, well, I have this piece, and this is, you know, the story from my hometown that inspired the original thing, but I can't do that. I don't want to do that. And then she said, why don't you send it to me? Let me think about it and we'll reconvene. And when she called me back, she said, I don't think this is a series. I think this is a feature, and I think we need to rewrite it. And we sat down and worked together in my little tiny kitchen apartment dining area. And we would go on hikes and we broke story together, but I wrote everything. So we decided I would just keep the writing to myself, but we were breaking story together just like you would in a writer's room. And that was so helpful to create something new. So the story that was close to me was there. It was giving us insight and direction, but the story we told is completely divergent. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that this is a made up story. It's not at all what happened. It's just the emotion and the tumultuous times fed into what we created together. And then she also was my director in the film. So I asked her to take charge and lead that helm, which she did. She was going to be in Kentucky all summer. I was going to be in Arkansas. One of my other actors had booked a stage show also in Arkansas, Theater Squared in Fayetteville. So she was going to be there. And just the pieces fell together for us to decide to shoot half the movie in my hometown and in Little Rock, and then to shoot the other half back here in LA where it was set. And that's how that happened. But also what I wrote in, because you were talking about how scary it is, I was going through grief and helping one of my best friends process her own grief and dealing with my personal grief over the loss of her husband. And it took many years to process because we lost him during the pandemic. So no one got to physically see him for years leading up to his death. And then none of us got to properly say goodbye. So it was such a hard process. And it was such a hard process to be her support while still trying to deal with my own grief. And it hit me surprisingly. It didn't, that's what grief is, right? You can't predict or dictate how it's going to go. And writing this, I healed. Doing this project, I healed myself, and I wrote I wrote her, and I wrote him, and I wrote the love between them, and I wrote the love between them and my family. They were there when my son was born, and they and Matt and I have all had adult relationships, deep friendships, camping trips, holidays, dinners. They were our California family. So it was all of that I wrote. So it was hard, but it was also healing. And it felt like the only thing that I could do. I couldn't not include that. So I wrote him in to the husband character of the character I play in Delta County, and I wrote her into the character that I played in Delta County, and then I left the rest of me in with it, if that makes sense.
Okay, everything you just said is literally how I speak about the plays that I write, the books that I write. Book. I'm working on the second one, and
Yay.
all my own projects. Even my old stuff when I did Pretty and The Inn, I'm in there. People read my book, which you can purchase, everyone, at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's called Drown Town. Please get it. Okay, it's $4.99. Okay, anyway. If you read my book from the first few sentences, and many, many friends who know me say, oh my, it's you. Like, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it doesn't always have to be the life, the autobiography of me, but it's just like the play. There were elements of the play that, of course, were me, because that's the truth. That's the bearing of our souls. And I think that is so much of what art is, and what's good about art, and what excites people. And also, I got to say, and I have to ask you this in a question form, it's the parts that are the most real that no one ever believes.
Yeah.
But the shit you make up, they go, whatever. Like, or actually, it's the real stuff that they don't want to believe.
Yeah.
So were you careful when you were crafting your story? Were you concerned when you were crafting your story and how you execute it? Like, is anybody going to believe this shit? It's true. To a degree.
I was very careful. I was very careful because I wanted this iteration to be its own story, and to have no confusion that I was trying to tell a real story. And so I was actually conscious of maybe the flip side of what you were just describing. And in that nothing in what I put out is actually true, unlike what I know was the highlight and the best part, two of them, of McKenna. Those parts, well, the three parts almost, those were the parts that people think you make up because they were so good. And I just had to be so conscious to not even get close to that, out of, I don't know, just out of loyalty, I think, and just trying to take care of the people around me. That being said, in my film, the protagonist has lost her husband, and you see him only in flashbacks. And a lot of the flashbacks are hopefully eventually will become more harrowing than I think how they currently are, because we're still extremely fine tuning and revising. We're not even fine tuning; we're revising a rough cut. But you only see him in these moments, and you're not sure why he's no longer here, like what happened. And in truth, I know what happened, but I don't need to tell that story in this story. But there were people around us who made choices to end their life, or have threatened to make choices to end their life. A lot of people around us have been living in that space. And you and I, Steve, went to see the play that our friend and producer of Happy Birthday, McKenna Kathleen, was in, that was all about suicide. And so I wrote that element in because people who were in deteriorated states in our lives were telling us the things that they planned to do and when and how. And so that is maybe the truth that's in there, that's not a full truth but is close to it, that someone might look at and go, okay, was that real or not real? But aside from that, I really tried to make it not as close to the truth as I could have.
You had to pivot a little bit during production. I know this. There was a big storm, and you had planned, I believe, to do something out on a boat that didn't come to fruition, perhaps?
We had two large scenes that took place on the Arkansas River on my brother-in-law Joey's boat. It's a great big, brand new, gorgeous pontoon. We had scoped it out. I had done test shots. We were so excited. Everything was ready to go. I set aside 1.5 days for the shoot, not including travel. Our director of photography, our cinematographer, is from Arkansas, lives in Little Rock. And our very first day, we shot at a different location. We were going to be driving from my hometown at least 2 hours to get to Little Rock for this river shoot. We finish our first day of shooting, and we get up early the next day. We're still going to be in my hometown, and my DP comes in and he says, "Heather, have you looked at the forecast?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "But have you looked at the extended forecast?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You might want to look at the extended forecast." And I said, "Just tell me what you're saying, Matt Jordan." And he said, "Well, it is July in Arkansas, so there will 100% be a thunderstorm at least one, if not multiple days of the week. Unfortunately, we're in that section of time when it's scheduled to happen every day for the next 5 days. And this is our only window to not have a thunderstorm." So it was 7 a.m. We had an actor who literally landed 2-hour drive from Little Rock. We looked at her. We said, "Lauren, pack it up. We're heading back." We drove like bats out of hell, got my brother to get the boat ready, got out onto the river, and what was a 1.5-day planned shoot, we had to get done in 3 hours.
And that's the thing I wanted to ask you is, do you consider yourself good at pivoting?
Am I good at pivoting? I think I have had to pivot a lot. So I don't know if I'm good at it, but I know that I do it. And I think creatives have to pivot all the time.
And as an actor on a stage, you have to pivot.
Exactly. I think if you were someone who chooses to be open to the process of collaboration, and not all creatives or actors are, but if you are one of those people, and I am, then you do have to pivot because you have to respond to what is happening around you. And that means, okay, I may need to look at this very differently, or I didn't think I was going to have to do this, but now I have to. And I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm a middle child, so I think I had to pivot every day growing up. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good at it.
But you just did it perfectly, because it comes back to life, and it comes back to every day. And you're a mom too. You can't tell me you don't got to pivot when you're a mom. Your whole fucking life is right?
You think it's going to be one way. Nah, it's not. Or it's going to be that way for a second, and then you got to learn something else. So if you think you're going to go down that path any longer, well, turn around, because you're over here. That is being a parent for sure. And we pivoted all over the place making that movie. And I also pivoted, stepping from stage into being a producer, and then I had to pivot again to just working on someone else's project in one capacity versus another. So yeah, you've got to pivot. I think it's an important skill to learn if you don't already do it. This is sort of a pivot in what we're talking about, but I just want to bring it back to meeting you, and happy birthday, McKenna, having the start of a good year and all of the good tendrils that came from that project. I mean, I got to do an incredibly rewarding shoot shortly after that because of another actor's friend of a friend who came to see the show. And then from that, I made relationships, and cast members from that show came to support and work with me on my project, Delta County. Those things wouldn't have happened if good wasn't all over the place happening, even in the midst of a year that was tumultuous. And I just thought about that, like coming on to, I was like, well, what's been good? What's good that's been going on in my life that if Steve asked me what's good, what will I say? And then I realized it was like, what's good started from meeting you, doing the show, having so much fun with it, meeting all the people that were attached to it. And then from there, they introduced you to more good things and more good people. And we all helped each other work, and we all created more art. And then people have been so incredibly giving this entire time. And I don't just mean my family, but just the talent involved behind the camera, in front of the camera, people who are now watching a rough cut, giving their honest and talented and insightful feedback. And they're all just doing that to help. That's the only reason. It's just a world of people being free and open and giving. And I'm just really grateful to be in that space right now.
Well, I'm really grateful for you, and I'm really grateful specifically for your mom, because your mom came to see Happy Birthday McKenna with both your sisters.
Yeah.
And your mom said to me, this was when we were done, after, she saw the show, we're outside, and she said it was one of the best written scripts she's ever seen or heard. And therefore, I love your mother. So if she's listening, I love her.
She also was like, he has to submit this for awards. This would win a script award. She's
A script award. Yes.
She is a writer, so she's biased, but when she recognizes what in her book is good writing, and we didn't even do the full script that night because they were there on opening, and there were a couple pages that got skipped over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So they even didn't, if there were any holes to be seen, she did not even see them then, is what I'm saying. So yeah.
And your mom on Delta County, shout out to her because she fed everybody.
She did. And she graciously gave up her home where everyone also lived. We shot in both of my mother's houses and in their garage and in their yard. Where else? I mean, we used everything, and they were more than happy to open everything up to us. They were very generous, very generous. And she made pies. My friends couldn't believe it. Like, I'm telling you, we have a pie with every meal. But they were like, but what do you mean? I was like, just, you'll see. She would take orders. Now, what's your favorite pie? Mine's lemon meringue, but there was always an apple or chocolate or a coconut or a pecan or a berry or a chess, or, I all of those existed. Oh yeah.
Where do people follow you? Where do people find you? How do they get more information about what is to come?
I do a blending of my personal and professional accounts because I've been told at this point there's no sense in starting over. I'm too old. So I'm just on Instagram and Facebook. Hello, boomer, right? No, I scrap that.
I'm keeping it in.
If you're on Facebook, I should be on TikTok, but I'm just simply not. So people can follow me on Instagram. It's at Heather L. Tyler. I'll post updates there once Delta County gets closer to release, and then other things that are coming out, I post there too. And you can follow Delta County on IMDb as well.
We close the show with 2 questions. We asked you the last time. Maybe you'll give us the same answer. Maybe you'll give us a new one. Question number 1 is, who inspires you?
There are so many people who are inspiring me right now. So I'm going to make it broader to who are inspiring me are honestly my fellow creatives right now. They are so resilient after 7, 8 months of not working between the 2 strikes. They are creating and they are supporting each other. That is one of the biggest things that came out of this summer, this hot labor summer, is the support didn't end. it is there. People are showing up for each other in many ways. They're showing up to work on each other's sets. They're showing up to see the finished product. They're showing up when you're having a bad day. They're showing up for self-tapes. They're showing up to babysit. They're showing up to go on hikes and to actually make the coffee dates that they said they would. Something changed here interpersonally in this industry, in this city, after the summer, and I'm grateful for that. And so my fellow creatives, from directors to writers to actors to our crew behind the camera, Teamsters, everybody is inspiring me to keep going.
And the final question is not a question, it is a statement to finish. And you panicked about it earlier, but here it is again. Tell me something good.
I just told you like 8,000 good things. Are you going to do it again? Tell you something good.
Something unexpectedly good in your life right now.
Well, look, I am stepping into a world of chaos, sitting in a room full of boxes and belongings that are not my own. And I'm about to bring more things into the space that is not my own, but is being shared with me. And I couldn't be more excited and happier to do it. We are moving into a space that means a lot to us. And we are being caretakers for the next 2 years or so for my friend's gorgeous house and property. And this is a new chapter for my family and a new chapter in her life. And it is good for all of us. And I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Heather, for sharing your good. Next time on World Gone Good.
Most people I talk to are of any demographic are scared and pessimistic, and I understand that.
There is no reason under the sun that any one person needs $1 billion. And in fact, this country was founded as the antidote to that.
I will say this to you, what I say to every single person is, we're going to be okay if we all do our part.
Okay, kids, who's ready to get good and political with my friends Ryan Basham and Tara Devlin? I know, you're sick of politics. I'm sick of politics. The whole world is sick of politics. And that's exactly why we're going to talk about them with these two activists who are raising their voices big and loud in the cry and fight to keep our democracy alive and well. And that is a good thing. I can't wait for you to hear this educationally and emotionally charged conversation on our next all-new episode. It's going to be a good one. Until then, be good.